Sitting in your old spot. How does it feel? I see joy in the eyes out there. So, when we were last in this room, once upon a time, back in March of 2020, I believe Reverend Jackie Hawkins was the guest speaker. And then, what a trip it's been, right? What a ride it's been. Because from there, we went to Facebook Live the next week, and yours truly learned how to do that in a couple of days from the living room. And then we wanted to add music, so we went to Zoom service and provided a recording for people. And from there, we went to the parking lot. How many of you, we've been there for about 6 months in the parking lot. How many of you have been to the parking lot? Yeah, a lot. And I started to know you by vehicles. like the white van, the black Toyota, the golden, I'm not sure what brand. Okay. So here we are, and one thing I know is you are resilient. We are resilient. You're here. We're here. Some churches didn't make it. And if we remember, there was a couple other churches in the building over here. The big one moved, but the little one didn't make it. So we are so blessed to be here, and I feel that really speaks to the commitment of this community to be that portable grace wherever we have to go, to tap into the one presence, the one power, to love each other and be that love in the world. That is a portable grace that can travel, right? So we have been flexible, we're resilient, and we've also gained wisdom from experience, right? Who's gained that this past? Yes, so much, right? Wisdom from experience. And as I was reflecting about our interesting times that we're in, that I think it's good to remember that we all made it through the height of this pandemic, and we had practices for what to do to stay healthy. So take that wisdom that you know, as well as your advice from your personal, trusted medical professional, and just know that we'll get through this patch too. We'll get through this patch too, just fine. I feel like a mom saying this. You know, and I also remember, and I really appreciate Reverend Blair last week doing the blessing of the body. Wasn't that awesome? You know, just he had a BLT. I just love that guy. Blessing, what was the L? I forget. Listen, bless, listen, and something else with the T. Anyways, it's a good. Oh. Yeah, good reminder. So we can keep doing that, you know, blessing the body, blessing the immune system, just seeing it as healthy, robust, strong, functioning perfectly, and go out the door with that, doing everything else we've learned to do. So we come together to remember God, to remember divine life, to remember the truth of who we are as God's beloved creations of a loving Creator. And so whatever life dishes up, let it all be for your healing. Let it all be for growth. Let it all be for lessons, right? The loss and the lessons, the laughter, the labyrinth of emotions sometimes, and the tears. Let it all be part of your healing journey, your journey to knowing your wholeness and oneness with God, no matter what's going on out there. So I'm glad we're all here to remember that today. Also, if you're wondering, where's the PowerPoint? Where's my coffee? That's the real question, right? Where's the cookies and the coffee? As Dorothy mentioned, we'll be adding those back in as time goes on, and it's time for volunteers to step forward. If you love that coffee, you can be part of that team to brew it up, and we will really appreciate that. So Spirit is growing you. Spirit is growing us right now as a community. And it's so interesting, different Unity churches I've been to. Some are, when you walk in the door, you're just grabbed and hugged. Well, we're not doing that anymore. Right? And so it's a growth experience to stop. If you're a hugger and you want hugs, to stop, ask each person every time, stop and ask, because we're all at different places with this, and our comfort level, and maybe some Sundays will be yes, some Sundays will be no. So thank you for having that greater awareness of everybody's personal space and personal choice. And if you're a hugger and someone says no to you, don't take it personally. That's a spiritual lesson right there, right? So our intention here is to create a judgment-free zone where people can feel comfortable, feel comfortable and accepted, and to rise up together in the love of God. So one more thing about that, just, in this adjustment period, I call today a transition service. I wanted to play music on the computer, that just didn't work, so here we are. We're not sure if the recording's going to go through. Okay, technology. But we do the best we can. So in this time, I just invite you to, do the best you can. Go easy on yourself when you fall asleep. When you wake up, choose again. And go easy on each other as we, ease into meeting face to face again. As those of you who've been in the car, this is really different, isn't it? Because in your car, you can stretch back, have a cushy seat, have all your breakfast, the dog's in the car, lots going on in the car. You miss it already, don't you? Some do, maybe. So, here we are, and it's almost like we're starting over. So we bless this new beginning, and thank you, all of you who are here in this community, to be the blessing of this new beginning. Okay, now we're getting into our topic today. So when Jesus makes a sandwich with mayonnaise, does it turn into Miracle Whip? It's better with the slide. Maybe I can dig that up next week. So who's ready for a miracle? I see a few hands. Anybody else over here? Yes, yes. So how will you know when it shows up? Oh. Has one shown up already? Oh. So what if you knew that certain conditions could create and attract a miracle? Would you begin creating those conditions today? Yeah, I see heads nodding with that. So today we're going to look at 3 ways to create conditions for a miracle. And this work, I love this work, it's from Michael Abrams' 12 Conditions of a Miracle. So for this month we're going to look at those conditions each week, a few of those. So miracles are all what we're about this month, and we're kind of dovetailing from the prosperity we did last month. So who had some miracles in their prosperity last month? Oh, great, great. Okay. Yes, so we're continuing with that. And can you think of an area of your life right now where you would love to experience a miracle? Yeah, I see lots of hands and nodding. Great. And so we continue with the vision. You know, maybe it's in your health or a job or a creative project or a relationship or your finances that maybe it's a longing that you've had for a long time. And, you know, to find a loving partner or to open or close a business or to create something that's very close to your heart. So these longings of the heart are a rich field to harvest a miracle. So things come to mind, right? Okay, I think I see some thought bubbles out there right now that says, why can't I just take this mask off? Why can't this just all go away? Why can't I be free of this? I think we all have that intention, right? But we keep in mind that we can't be free of something till we get free in it. So what do I mean by that? I mean that we get to be creative and we look for the open spaces and we go beyond duality, this or that. That's where miracles live, beyond duality. We're going to dive into that a little more. I saw something that's cracked me up that I thought was an example of this. One of the Unity churches, they're still doing their services online, on Zoom, but their music team renamed themselves to the Quarantones. Choice by choice, you know, we have the potential for miracle thinking or miserable thinking. 525,600 minutes in a year. Remember that song from, was it Rent, I think? Yeah. So that means we have 525,600 potential miracles in every moment we choose. Every moment we choose. So how much of that bounty do you want to spend in worry? 0, yeah. Irma Bombeck, I love this. She said, worry is like a rocking chair. It gives us something to do, but it doesn't take us anywhere. So how many of those minutes do you want to spend in creativity, in entertaining hope, faith, possibility, love, and joy? Yeah, we are all rich. We're all given that. So miracles, we're looking at how we can go beyond two choices of duality, this or that. We're looking at that infinite quantum field of infinite possibility, also known as the mind of God, the realm of God, where all is possible. So what is a miracle? According to Webster, a miracle is an extraordinary event manifesting divine intervention in human affairs, or an extremely outstanding or unusual event, thing, or accomplishment. So what comes to mind when you hear the word miracle? When I sat with this, you know what came to mind was, as a kid watching the black and white television and the televangelist praying fervently on someone's forehead and just, bam, she can walk again. It's a miracle. Healed, yes. We laugh at that, but you know, we remember the story of Myrtle Fillmore, who healed herself from tuberculosis, not bam in an instant, but with a lot of prayer work, every day dedicated to it. And she set out a chair for Jesus, too, during her healing time and her prayer, and asked Jesus to be with her. She set conditions for a miracle to show up. And little known, we know about about Myrtle's healing, but little did you know that she worked with her neighbors, and her son wrote about this in a Unity booklet, and he was just amazed watching his mother work with their neighbors. One man who had lost his sight, who was blind, could see again after she worked with him. Another man who had leg issues and had to use a crutch all the time was able to discard his crutches and walk again. So we're talking about this infinite field of God that Myrtle got connected with and that we can connect with as well. So we see this is tied into the power of mind with faith, visualization, prayer, and the willingness to see beyond appearances, right? See beyond appearances. So Charles Fillmore says, in reality, miracles are events that take place as a result of the operation of a higher unknown law. All true action is governed by law. Nothing just happens. So think of that for a minute. Think of other laws that were discovered that must have seemed like a miracle at the time. The law of aerodynamics always existed. But it took somebody to conceive it, to believe it, to learn about it, learn how to work with it, to use it. Same with the law of electricity. That law always existed, but it took somebody to imagine, to conceive it, and to work with it. A lot of trial and error, right? That crazy Edison over there. The Brooklyn Dodgers who had to learn to work with that electricity of the trolley cars and trial and error, but we learn to work with these laws. So what laws of the universe have we yet to discover? So we know that each of us has that capacity to make that discovery, of the laws of the universe, of the laws of God, of the infinite. The Bible has promises, and I love this from Jeremiah. I will put my law in their minds and inscribe it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. The law in our hearts. And Jesus, reminding his disciples and us, I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. We are all one. We're one with the Christ mind. And so we learn how to work to align with it and access. So miracles are something that Jesus performed over and over again, and he looked beyond appearances to that realm of infinite possibility. So we're going to look at, as we look at these conditions, we're going to look at one of his famous miracles that is a template that shows us 12 favorable conditions that can create a miracle. So I wonder if you can guess what those are. So first, let's look at the miracle story found in Matthew chapter 14. This starts off where Jesus had just received the news that his cousin John the Baptist has been killed. So now when Jesus heard, he withdrew from there in a boat to a deserted place by himself. When the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is not late. Send the crowds away, so that they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They replied, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish." And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowd. And all ate, and all were filled. And they took up what was left over of the broken pieces, 12 baskets full. And those who ate were about 5,000, men, women, and children. So the story ends when he makes the disciples go off in the boat, and Jesus dismisses the crowds, and he goes off to himself, by himself, to pray. So what can we learn here? The first condition of a miracle is emptying. And emptying the mind of limiting beliefs, withdrawing the ego, by going into that state of emptiness and inner stillness, the place of potential. So we do this in meditation, right? Into the stillness to prepare ourselves to receive. Who has received answers and solutions going into the silence? Yeah. I don't know, it's hot up here. And sometimes, we don't get our answer right away in meditation, but we prepared the field, and then later on, maybe you're washing dishes and solution comes right there. Yeah, thanks, Jim. The air, some fan or air would be good here.
Just put it up there.
So we see that Jesus tried to solve it at a mental level. He asked the disciples to go do something, but they just saw lack. So it's all right, I have to do it myself, I guess. Show them how to do it, right? So Jesus saw potential and he took action, and we can too. So this week we can practice making room for that insight, that communication from the infinite, and then taking action. And we see that when he went off to himself to pray, something shifted in him where he was able to see others' need and attend to them. Even though he must have been grieving up there. His friend had been killed, but he came down and saw a need and served. He was moved by compassion. And doesn't loss and grief often do that to us? It just cracks us open to be more compassionate, to be more kind, to be more understanding, and more helpful, right? It can crack us open or shut us down. That's another one of those miracle times we get to choose. That Jesus did not judge people tells us that his compassion was an expression of unconditional love. And so he became one with the current of what was happening. He didn't resist it. He emptied out and came into alignment with love in action. So we've been practicing that with forgiveness and clearing out with our prosperity series, right? So emptying. The next condition of a miracle is aligning. Aligning. And emptying prepares us for that as we let go of how we think it should be, right? And align with the divine current, divine mind, who has a better idea. So we prepare ourselves with emptying, aligning, to go with the flow of God's guidance, and then to take action to be a blessing in some way. And we know that as we give, we receive. We do receive. And are part of that circulating stream of God's infinite good. So emptying, aligning. The third condition is asking. Asking. So Jesus tells us about the importance of asking several times in the Gospels. Remember, he says, ask and it will be given you. For everyone who asks receives. Whatever you ask for in prayer with faith, you will receive. if in my name you ask me for anything, I will do it. It's a pure request. So asking, this may take time to get clear. And people always ask, do I pray for something specific, or do I just put a general prayer out there? Both, right? You can pray for a specific and add this or something better. This or something better. So where did all that food come from? To feed the 5,000? Inquiring minds want to know. Did someone show up with provisions? Did those who were hoarding suddenly open up what they had brought and decided to share? Or as Bible scholar George Lamza proposed, could be that a merchant caravan was passing through that area and stopped and sold food to the crowd on their camels. I think of it like a hairy food truck. So miracles, small and large, obvious and subtle, we're learning to have eyes to see and to attract them. So I want to close with a very brief experience I had, share of an experience I had this week practicing this. Now, my minister friends and I always laugh because whatever topic we pick, Spirit just serves it up, that we get to practice it. So I think I need a drink of water before this. So this week, I had what I will call a miracle. An old friend called, and he lives in the Midwest, and we hadn't spoken for months. And I could tell he sounded very distressed. He couldn't get his words out, he wasn't making sense, and he didn't know who I was. And then something clenched in my heart when I realized that he had changed. He had changed. His forgetfulness that I remember from before had somehow deteriorated into some kind of perhaps dementia. And he was scared. He was scared on the phone. He called me and he was scared, just panicked. And I know some of you may have experienced this, the shock of the first time with a loved one, a partner, a parent, someone who, when you realize something has changed with them, it's shocking. But I was able to discern that he was not alone, he was staying with people, and he had help. So that was good. That just kind of put me at ease a little bit. But as he kept going, just kind of in a panic roll, he didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what to do. And my first impulse was to fill the space, to talk, to do all the talking, but I just let that go. And I emptied out and I listened. I listened and I thought, just be love. Just send him love over the phone. And I turned to prayer and I said, God, I don't know what to do here. Help, please, And hanging up on him was not an option. Well, it was, but I didn't want to choose it. So I emptied out my idea of how this should go. And at the same time, being with that little pulse in my gut and my heart that just wanted to cry. Have you ever had that? Like, that is there, but there's something strong that's coming forth too. So I kept emptying, I kept listening, I was aligning, I was asking, and a curious answer came to me. Sing. What? I haven't sung in a long time. Sing to him. So he and I used to sing together. We were both in dances of universal peace, and we would sing those songs together. And so I told him, you love to sing. We used to sing together. let's do it now, okay? He said, sure. He said, okay, kind of hesitant, okay. And so this is the song that came out. You are so beautiful, you are so wonderful. My heart is open wide to let you in. You are so beautiful, you are so wonderful, and I too love you as you are, my friend. So music was the miracle that calmed his soul. And we sang, or I sang another song, and he hummed along. Something in his mind remembered the tune. And by the end of the conversation, he said, he's in tears, he said, I don't have to be terrified anymore. So a miracle can be as simple as a song. Choice by choice, moment by moment. Miracles are all around you, all around us. They're waiting to come alive within us and sparkle forth. So how many miracle moments will you invite today?